this for everybody that feel you've been skipped over. God's getting ready to call your name. JP, help me say, blessings with my name on it. Blessings with my name on it. Miracles with my name on it. Miracles with my name on it. Favor with my name on it. Favor with my name on it. I believe He's calling me. He's calling me. Come help me say, blessings with my name on it. Blessings with my name on it. Miracles with my name on it. Miracles with my name on it. Favor with my name on it. Favor with my name. I believe He's calling me. Next for a blessing. Next for a miracle. Next for favor. I know that I'm next. Next for a blessing. Next for a miracle. Next for favor. Let's take it higher. Joy with my name on it. Joy with my name on it. Love with my name on it. Love with my name on it. Peace with my name on it. Peace with my name. I believe He's calling me. He's calling you. Next for joy. Next for peace, my Lord. Next for love. I know I'm next. Next for joy, unspeakable. Next for love, unconditional. Next for peace. Yeah, I'm next. Healing with my name on it. For that family member. Power with my name on it. With my name. Increase with my name on it. Lord, I believe You're calling me. Next for my healing. Next for power. Next for my increase. I've been waiting on you. And I'm next for healing. Yes, I'm next for power. Yes, I'm next for increase. Wait a minute, Paul. I gotta trust Him by faith. And I trust Him. I trust Him. I trust Him. With all of my heart, and I'll lean not to my own understanding. In all of my ways, acknowledge Him. I'll acknowledge Him, and I'll let You direct my path. Call my name. Call my name, Lord. I've been waiting. I've been praying. I've been praying. Call my name. My name is Pamela to live, and I'm in need of a blessing. Call my name. Wait on the Lord. I'll trust You, Lord. When I'm right in the storm, I'll sit right here and I'll believe. I'll wait on You, and I'll be up and back. So Lord, call my name. Call my name. Woo! Jesus, Savior. Oh, send out blessings. Don't forget to pass me. Pass me by. Oh, no, I believe You're calling me. I'm not alone. Yeah, Lord. Hey, I've been waiting. I've been praying. And You're a man of Your word. And I trust You. Don't forget about me.
is where the community is connected. 980 AM WDDO.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group, LLC, WDDO AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participants of the broadcast.
Macon in Middle Georgia. It's time for Village Talks with Tia and LJ. Join them live every Wednesday from 5:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. right here on the Glory 107.9 FM, 980 AM WDDO. Log on to the Glory 107.9 FM on Facebook or YouTube to become a part of the conversation. Let's go live into the studio for Village Talks with Tia and LJ.
Is your child struggling with reading, writing, learning loss, and a culturally irrelevant curriculum? Do you want your child to be outstanding at reading and writing and also take pride in their culture? Then you want Reading Revolution Online. Reading Revolution Online is a web-based reading support program. We serve scholars in grades K through 8, and through our innovative approach, we help them build reading confidence and cultural identity development, equipping them for success in school and life. They learn about Black heroes and sheroes through captioned videos, reading selections, and other activities. Reading Revolution Online is an experience for the whole family. Do it for the culture. Go to readingrevolution.org and get your membership today.
Good evening, everybody.
Hey.
How y'all doing? Hey, welcome to Village Talks. We are Making the Middle Georgia's #1, the freshest radio show and Godcast, bringing you conversations centered around culture and community from right here in the 478 and beyond.
That's right.
I am your co-host, LJ, and in the studio with me to my left is the amazingly beautiful, phenomenally, magnanimously centered and grounded.
That's right.
And beautifulest co-host.
Tia, peace and blessings, good people. How y'all doing out there?
Yes, we're feeling good in here. I think we feel. Ain't we feeling good?
Oh yes, we are feeling amazing. It's a great day. We here for the new year.
Yes.
2026. Y'all know our last episode was episode 35. And so we, just gave gratitude to everyone who has been tuning in. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Thank y'all so much. And we're just coming into 2026 with the same, heart, the same integrity, the same accountability, all of the good things, y'all. So we appreciate y'all. Vote Hatcher, waving. Hey, how you doing? It's a beautiful day in Macon. Absolutely. It's nice outside, y'all. Y'all know how that Macon weather do.
It's nice today.
You don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's nice today, but tomorrow.
Hey, no telling. Ms. Jeanette Goff, thank you again so much. Hello, how you doing? Thank you for joining us. DSGB Bad Brad.
Oh, that's my guy. We're one of West Macon's finest.
Okay, West Macon's finest.
One of West Macon's very finest.
Oh yeah,
that's my guy. What's going on, Brad? How you doing, brother? We got Vote Hatcher. I think that's Carrie.
Yeah, that's Carrie Hatcher.
I'm coming on here on your other name. Your name, Carrie. What's going on? So how you doing today?
And we have Rasul Salim. Good evening, peace and blessings to everyone. I love that intro. Thank you so much. We appreciate you for being here.
Appreciate it, man.
Always.
Number love for you.
And the whole family.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Vote Hatcher. Carrie says LJ for commissioner.
We'll talk about that.
We're gonna get into some things, some goings on in the city in just a moment. Absolutely. And so y'all know, typically with the What's Happening Making the Middle Georgia, we list some events and things like that was going on. But what we really wanted to discuss today were the happenings at the commissioners meeting last night. So as you all know, every first and third, or if you don't know, every first and third Tuesday, the commissioner meeting happens down at City Hall. Commissioner Bryant says hi.
Please call in too, Commissioner. You can call in right now. Matter of fact, as we get into this, please call in if you're able to. Commissioner Bryant.
Yes, please call in. Big Sharm, aka Frank Mathers, in the chat saying big money making, baby. I see no poor folks in this town. No poverty exists, according to some of our leaders in this community. So we just gonna set that to the side.
Well, Village Talks, we need all the financial support we can get. Let me let y'all know. So shout out to our sponsors. Okay, shout out to Homeland Village.
Yes.
Shout out to Habersham Records, and shout out to Assembly Brothers. We appreciate you, Big Sharon, for being a sponsor for us and supporting us in every way. Since the beginning, Homeland Village is the same way in Habersham Records. And if you're interested in being a sponsor of Village Talks, let us know and get with us. We'll let you know what it takes to make that happen. And then we also got some merch coming soon too, y'all. Some Village Talks merch. And y'all can talk some Village Talks merch. And we're going to be doing some Village Talks live meetings. So we're going to be coming to a community near you.
Absolutely. So be on the lookout for that.
That's right.
Yeah. And also, if you are not aware, not only are we live on Facebook under The Glory, we are also live on YouTube as well as on your radio dial. So those in radio land, I'm going to keep saying that now. Wish you got it. Those in radio land, you can tune in if you are in the Macon area at 107.9 FM, 980 AM.
For sure. And we appreciate everyone that's on here with us online. If you can, please share this. We're going to have an amazing conversation today. Normally we do the first Wednesday, and we have our Capona episode where we focus on mental health from a African-centered perspective with Brother Chuck. And we also been having Sister Adrian on here with us lately. Yes. But Brother Chuck had an emergency to tend to. So, we're going to be definitely dealing with a little bit more of what we deal with on a regular when it's just Tia and I.
Which hasn't been that often, but we. Yeah,
so, please call in. We're going to be diving into what Tia just talked about and a few other things. And we continuously going to shout out the village real quick. Hey, Miss Aisha, Ellen. She says, hey, y'all. Hey, how you doing?
Absolutely.
Miss Aisha. Frank Dixon, he's just laughing. Y'all ain't no telling what he got going on. That's my guy.
Yes.
Patrick Davis, he says Tia for District 5.
What?
Yeah, girl. Yeah, I'll vote for you for anything. For president, I promise you, you'll be a good boy. No, man. Lord have mercy. Patrick Davis says, good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Mr. Patrick.
Zakiya says, hello, the village. And the LJ for commissioner. Hey, look here. Both of us stay in District 5, y'all. So
we ain't.
Yeah, but we'll talk about that later. We're
gonna see what's what with District 5, y'all. Speaking of, not sure if you all are aware, but Commissioner Seth Clark, who was commissioner of District 5, has stepped down in pursuits of other things. It's looking like lieutenant governor is what he may be running for, which I get into my opinions about that later, I guess. But and because of his resignation from his post as District 5 commissioner, he was also mayor pro tem. That position as mayor pro tem has been voted on by our commission. And Valerie Wynn of District 1 is now mayor pro tem. And basically, she acts on behalf of the mayor in his stead when he is not present. So she would be leading commission meetings, attending events and things of that sort in the mayor's stead if he is not available or able to attend.
I think we got Commissioner Bryant on the line, too.
Okay. Hey.
Yeah, she might be able to help. Commissioner Bryant, you on?
Hi.
Hey, Commissioner Bryant, how you doing?
I'm good. What about you all?
Blessed.
Highly favored.
Blessed.
Yes,
did y'all look at that? I know we're on the radio, but did y'all look at that text I sent both of you all?
Yes.
Okay. Because that was on there today, and I just happened to see it.
Let me see. Let's go to it.
Speak to us.
What y'all got? What questions y'all got?
Yeah, can you just give us a quick rundown of what happened yesterday? When people talk about mayor pro tem, some people might not even know what that means to have a pro tem, because Commissioner Seth Clark, he was the commissioner of District 5, which incorporates Pleasant Hill, Unionville. You have Ingleside, some parts of Vineville. Just West Macon in general, and like North Pierce Avenue, things like that. But he also was the mayor pro tem, right? And so there was some articles going out yesterday, not only just about Commissioner Clark, resigning from his position or stepping down, but also that you all, when I speak of you, I mean you and the commission, the other commissioners, that commission had to have a vote to vote in a new mayor pro tem, and then she also sits on the committee. You also voted on the committee of one or committee of the whole with something else. Can you explain? I know we had you on the show before to talk about that, about the committee of the whole situation, but can you now explain what a mayor pro tem is, and what does that mean with us now going into having the committee of the whole again, and then now having new members of the committee of the whole? Because before I know it was the mayor, Seth Clark, and Paul Brunson, but now it's the mayor Valerie Wynn and Commissioner Valerie Wynn and Commissioner Brenlin Bailey, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So, from my understanding, is what you all said. The mayor pro tem steps in when the mayor is not available or he's out, and she is the only one besides the mayor that can vote for Brendan Bailey to be third in command of the committees. And we went back with the committee of the whole because they're the only two, the mayor and the pro tem, can only vote on whether it's going to be a committee of committees or a committee of the whole, and she voted for the committee of the whole. It was a 3-5 vote with me, Stewart, and Commissioner Bronson voting for Bronson. But for me, I'm just going to say I would have voted either way. If a person can come to me and tell me, I'm trying to do this for the community, I'm for everybody, and I want this. She was the longest standing member, so definitely she's the first woman. So I get that she was going to be, I wasn't against it. I just was supporting Commissioner Bronson at the time. But yeah, if she got it, congratulations to her.
Well, I know LJ had posted some things earlier today in reference to some of her stances on some of our historic Black buildings, such as the Douglas, the Little Richard House. Also, what was it? What was the other where she said that Black people need to?
Oh no, she was talking about the Little Richard House at one time and the funding, because a lot of our historic landmarks and some of these institutions that we have, like the Tubman Museum, Douglas Theater, and the Little Richard House, they receive funding from the local government, and so there was something that came up some years ago with the funding for the Little Richard House, where it could have been taken away or taken off the city's budget for being able to help finance it. And she was saying that the Black community need to put, since they're so concerned about the money from the government going towards the Little Richard House, that they should, we should put our money where our mouth is. So basically, she was just saying that the Black community should fund it and not worry about, the government's money should go towards funding the Little Richard House. And then she also, I think she said something recently about some money that was allocated towards the Tubman Museum. It was from the Water Authority.
Mm-hmm.
And she was saying that the Tubman should have done a bake sale or something rather than the Water Authority having had to give some money. Because the Water Authority has money that they give to like nonprofits and organizations. It wasn't just money that
it comes from a separate fund.
Yeah, it's a separate fund, right?
That the Water Authority is supposed to have.
Right.
And so those funds were helping to support some of the local
Right. And there was something else I also said about the Douglas Theater, how she felt about that. But yeah, she just, she's just not a fan of the local government money going towards these historically Black institutions.
Right.
So, LJT, I'm glad that you all do the things that you all do, because when people are out here saying you hating, you slandering, you've just given facts. Because if you're saying that she said this, it should be able to be found somewhere where we can let people know what our leaders, including me, are saying, and how we should be voting the next time. We should be able to take that factual information and say, okay, now I remember this. Are they for the community? Are they for my community? Are they for the blacks? And because we're predominantly black here. And are they for what we need in this area? And I think the other thing you want to ask me about, which I'd like to share, I think that everybody's been kind of asking me about today about the Adrian Harmon situation, and I hate to put his name out like that.
Right.
And I was kind of appalled at the way things were handled, whether it was insinuated that he had a criminal background or anything, because that was not the place to say it. If he was a candidate, I think Commissioner Stewart's question was, I put his name in as a candidate for the Planning and Zoning Committee.
Right.
And I think that if he was not considered for whatever reasons, I think that it should have been handled in such a way that we don't say, well, the first thing we say is, well, we'll have to do a background check. Because if we got to do a background check, did we do a background check on all the people that were running for commission and for the other committees? So we just can't just throw that out there, being elected officials. We just need to, I kind of was appalled with that. And then the other thing that got me from yesterday's meeting, and I don't think it was on Facebook when I said that we as the commissioners and the mayor, I addressed us saying that we have to do better with these kids, the youth. We need to provide more resources for them because it's disheartening to see them on television day after day killing each other. And he went through the statistics of saying, crime is down. According to the jail count, crime is not down, but we did a jail initiative. So I know we have all these programs, the RISE, the MVP, and they talk about it. But my thing is, if we can do more, we still need to do more, and that means going to where they're at. We got to meet them where they are. So if that means some of the MVP or whoever need to go stand in the corner of that store and talk to them or whatever, then that's what needs to happen. But to minimize what I was saying about that, a mama don't care. When she see her child laying on that ground with a gunshot to his head or whatever, she don't care that last year 54 people got shot, and only this year it's only been 30 people.
Right.
She don't care that. She know that that's her child that's down there. So we as leaders got to say we got to do more. We got to try to catch them before they get to that jail, because if the count keeps going up, then we back to square one. We need a new jail because we can't hold everybody.
Right. And that go really back to data, because Tia and I, we always talk about this, like in how data is used to create certain narratives, right? And you have your background in law enforcement, and me, and not only did I do the work with I was site supervisor for Cure Violence Making, which was a violence intervention organization. Shout out to my whole team. We got a couple of members I've seen in the chat, Sherman and Frank Dixon. We're also part of that team. Dominic Johnson, Arion Smith, Jerry Anderson, Courtney. We all were violence interrupters and caseworkers, in the Pleasant Hill area, but we worked all over the city. But anyway, we were the only violence intervention program within the MVP program, but all of us were trained as violence interrupters in doing the work of CVI, which is community violence intervention. And if you go check out some different CVI models, is what they call it, all across the country, where you have programs like Cure Violence, which is a data-driven program, but we work with what they would call high-risk individuals, right? So we're doing real life, real-time mediations. We dealing with real situations, right? So it's shout out to everybody that's doing the preventative work, because we got to do the prevention work to keep things from happening that way. But we were ground zero, right there with the youngsters or the grown folks, whoever it is, that had the guns, that was ready to go do something. We was right there with them doing the mediations, right? And providing wraparound services to try to prevent or help the environment or the different determinants that led to the violent behavior, right? But long story short, myself, I've been very involved for a long time with the crime and the murder and the homicide right here in Macon. I started campaigns such as Stop the Violence, Start the Music, and Making Peace, 15, 20 years ago, right? And I'm pretty young myself, so I was a young man when I started those. But anyway, the crime rate, the homicide rate, back then in the early 2000s, even like when Jack Ellis was mayor, it was times, and through most of his administration, the average was around 20 or less. It really was it was less than 20 homicides, right? And so we just pay attention to that. And so when we had like spikes of like 25 and plus, that was alarming to us as a community. Like 25 homicides in the city the size of Macon is a lot. Like when you start looking at it compared to even other cities across the country, I mean, that's a lot. Right. You know what I mean? And so with us over the past 5 years, we've had more homicides than any other 5 year span in the history of Macon, Georgia, right? So, beginning 5 years ago, it was like around 40 something, 50. It was like 54. Then we went to 70 in like 22. And then in 23, we went to like 40. And in 2024, it was like 39. Then I know last year it went down to like 29, right? But I know there's been a number. I'm saying all that to say that there's been a number that's been thrown out there in regards to us seeing a decrease in homicides at 45%, right? And that data can be misleading, like extremely misleading. For one, because we hit a record high, what was it, in the 22, we're having 70 homicides. That was a record high. And when you look at the trend nationwide, you saw spikes in violence and homicides all over the nation, where you had a lot of different cities and municipalities having the record highs for homicides, right? Because they attributed a lot of the factors to COVID and different situations that were exacerbated or intensified. Issues that we already had as communities were intensified because of COVID. Right. So it led to these different issues, right? But long story short, I'm saying that to say that when we just use this number of 2022 and we talk about a record high of 70 homicides, which is like 3 times the amount of what our average is, because if you look at the whole history of Macon, especially from the 60s up to today, we average like around 20, right? Especially, before like 10 years ago. So we have, in the past 5 years, we almost have like double or triple the amount of a regular 5-year span in Macon, Georgia. So when we keep talking about we having less homicides in Macon, or Macon has a reduction in crime, from what perspective are we talking about?
Right. So basically it's just data being used out of context to fit a narrative to make certain things look a certain way, because we do see with not just the mayor, but some of our other leaders, where they're saying, we have to keep this positive talk going because we want to attract tourism and people from outside of Macon, and we have to, things can coexist. So even if we want, if there are certain things that look good or are being done in our community that are good, that doesn't negate the negative or the poverty, that doesn't, take away the homelessness, that doesn't take away the homicides, that doesn't take away, the crime that's still being perpetuated, that doesn't take away the underfunding of our schools. It doesn't take away the literacy rate, none of those things, it doesn't take that away. So we can speak to positivity, but we still have to be honest and realistic, especially when we're talking about data, because people can manipulate data and put it in a context that makes it seem as though things are not the way they are. And that is harmful, because then we, instead of addressing the issues, especially the root issue, we do minor fixes, or we say, oh, we need more police. But even if having more police, how is that going to fix the problem, which is the root issue, which is one of the things that Cure Violence did. It was a multi-generational approach.
Right.
You know, these youth and these young adults who are committing, you know, violent crimes, they're also going to underfunded schools. They also have parents that, you know, may possibly be working multiple jobs. There is an issue with workforce as far as how much people are getting paid. There's an issue with the quality of education. All of these different things and factors that play into the conditions that we see when we see violence, when we see crime, when we see homicides and all of those things. So we have to make sure that we are addressing all of those things and not, you know, just taking one piece of data and making it seem as though everything is okay.
Right. Right.
And let me just say this: two things. When you're talking about the years, we got to also look at the jobs. Like around those years, a lot of places was closing up. I know, like the whole presidential over there, they closed up. So a lot of jobs were lost in that area. So they got to remember that a lot of jobs in the last 5 years or 6 years, a lot of jobs have been lost. But the root for these kids is money. Whether they selling drugs, whether they rob, it is to get money. And if they're not getting it, they don't have jobs and they have a way to live. They just surviving. They're trying to get money. And the other thing is people, it might be data, but we got to look at, from law enforcement, I look at it like this. It's going to be a spike of crime every so many years, because one, you got the ones that have been committing crimes at 12 and 13 years old, and they might have committed a crime at 15 and 16 and didn't get caught till they were 17, purposely waiting until they became an adult. Second, you got some that have committed crimes and they got killed themselves committing the crime or did not, and they died or they're in prison. So a whole group of people that were out there committing crimes, they went to prison and they gone for 5 or 10 years. So they got to think about that kind of data too.
Right. And yeah, it just got to be looked at across the board. Right. And like we say, for the past 5 years, for us to see what we got like double the amount, if we're saying that making us have an average of 20 homicides, which that's still too many, right? But we now are looking at having a double that as our average or more, you know. And even when you look at the 5 years before that, you know, you will see that. You will see we had times where it was a little bit less than 20 or around 20, right? You know, and things like that. And, you know, and over the past 5 years, you know, this all been under the same administration this past 5 years, right? So this is, you know, this administration actually has a higher homicide rate than any administration in the history of Macon. Right. I mean, that's real talk. So, you know, we need to actually be truthful about what's happening, because it is not on the government to solve this issue all by itself. You know, the community has to be involved as well. It has to be a balanced approach. But at the same time, if we're not educated, if we're not taking, like what Tia was saying, if we're not taking this seriously, like if we just sitting back and we thinking it's one way, but it's really another way, then we can't even really be proactive. Like we're not even gonna put our energy into it, or we're not gonna be, you know, front of mind. We're thinking of, hey, look, we need to still solve this problem. We don't need to act like this problem don't exist, you know, and carry on or whatever, you know, when we can just pull our resources together, still keep our energy and our focus on, you know, having more youth development programs. You know, thinking about what you're saying about Commissioner Bryant, as far as having more workforce development situations going on, where we're creating jobs, actually talking about poverty, you know, and being real about it. Like Patrick Davis, I saw he put in the chat, you know, that Macon bill poverty rate is like 3 times the state average of 12%. But I know we at over 25%, right? And you know, 40% of our kids live below the, you know, the poverty line. You know, that is a real statistic. You know, we have to understand that 90% of those 40% are Black. Right. You know, so we also have to be intentional and specific about issues, you know, without that being an issue either, because everybody has challenges. You know, white folks have challenges, Black folks, Hispanic community, the Asian community has challenges, poor folk, rich folk have challenges too. You know what I mean? But we have to be real about these things, you know, and talk straight to it, you know, without acting like they don't exist or creating narratives to make it appear as if the issue ain't an issue at all. Right. You know. Right.
We definitely need
I'm gonna say this before. Go ahead, Tia.
No, you can go ahead, Commissioner.
Well, I'm gonna say this before I go. You know, shout out to the people that do have the programs that are trying to help the youth. when I say we need more, I just think we can do more. It's not against them saying they're not doing their job, because I think a lot of them do their job. Like I see Rise, they just had a whole bunch of graduates, and they
Right.
got to have somebody, and they MVP, they say they have a good success rate. But after all this is over, they got to have somebody to follow through and to follow up with these kids daily, weekly, daily, monthly, and say, hey, what is it that we can do for you all? What do they need? And one of the things they're
Right.
going to say is probably jobs and education. But I know somebody else probably trying to call in, so I'm going to get off y'all phone.
Well, we
Sorry.
appreciate you, Commissioner Bryan. Thank you so much. And again, happy belated birthday. And thank you for everything that you
Thank
are doing
you.
in our community. We
So
appreciate you.
much.
Thank you. And one thing I want to say before we get to the comment section, because that's one of the things that Commissioner Bryant mentioned was just that 6-step plan.
Mhm.
Because there was a lot of talk. I don't know if everybody remembers last year with all of the deaths and things like that were happening at the jail and that were going on. And then, there was the protest, and people were really speaking up about what happened. Not long after the protest, Lester Miller, the mayor, he decided to have a press conference and introduce this 6-step plan, this six-step initiative about how things were going to be handled differently at the LEC to combat some of the violence and all of the things that were happening at that facility. Yet and still, we still see an increase in the number of inmates at the prison, and we haven't really received any updates as it relates to what's going on, and not at the prison but at the jail. And so those are things that we have to stay steadfast and remember. We can't just protest, get mad when we see something happen. We have to stay proactive and not reactionary, because now we're starting to see things come out again about things that are happening at the jail. But what updates are we getting with that 6-step initiative? What's actually happening? How are we determining that the things that are being told to us are actually benefiting our community, or they're actually getting implemented in a way that is beneficial, successful? And if it's not successful, how do we go back to the drawing board and reframe that to make sure that people are actually being taken care of and that our voices are really being heard?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was really one of the things I wanted to say. And I don't know, LJ, if you wanted to get to some of our comments or some
Yeah,
of the
yeah, because
chat.
our chat, yeah, y'all are going in. Y'all have a lot of stuff going on. Now, I'll just begin with, I guess, with Kerry Hatcher. He says they also passed a resolution that's going to displace the folks around Daybreak and Train Bridge. I sure hope they have a plan for that and not just to run them off to somewhere else in the cold. Yeah, I guess he's talking about the commission meeting that was held yesterday.
Right.
Patrick Davis says it is very telling that Valerie Wynn was chosen as mayor pro tem. It validates that the mayor, Lester Miller, and the majority of the commission supports conservative white Republicans, despite making Bill being majority black and Democratic. Okay, Patrick Davis. Frank Dixon said the recordings may disappear. I think he was talking about when Commissioner Bryant said that whatever people say could be brought back up later on and stuff like that. Sherman Frank Matthews says, like Lester said, that's why this city is poor. I don't know. It might have had something to do. We were talking about, that's I think black folks or something.
Yeah.
Chairman Renaldo Scott says, "Good evening, everyone. Good evening." Then we also have someone else said, "Isn't the jail full again?" Frank Matthews says, "Murder is down, not crime." Patrick Davis says, "The 2024 overall crime in Bibb County has decreased compared to 2023, largely due to a significant reduction in violent crime, although property crime saw only a minor decrease." That's determined by, we don't know. Kerry Hatcher says, "Why isn't the data still being published?" And he has a link to the Bibb Sheriff page. Patrick Davis says something about the downward trend of homicides from 71 and 22 to 23 having 40 and 24 having 39. Once again, y'all, 71 was the all-time high in Macon by almost 20. We talked about that. Sherman Kine says, "You are right. Crime is down." Okay, he said you're right. Crime is down because the police never pull up and do reports. Oh Lord, that's a whole nother issue.
It is.
You know, it's a completely different issue. That's very important though. Frank Dixon says, act like you a hater for not going with the narrative."
Right.
Yeah, that's something else. He said, "Tell them to you." They said, "Tell them." Then we have Chris Barfield says, hello everyone. I'm still trying to get my definition of homicide exactly right. But one thing I do know is this: when a young person or any person dies because of violence, it's still a death, no matter what label gets put on it. Maybe I'm wrong, but honestly, I don't think so. Now, you ain't wrong. You're absolutely not wrong about that. When people talk about the difference between homicides and murder, um, you have murder, people are charged with that. A homicide, I guess, people don't necessarily have to be charged. But at the end of the day, what you said is still the absolute truth. You know,
Right.
someone still died, and there was a reason behind it. Right. And Sherman Kine says, Leon Jones said, making got big money, baby.
No poverty.
LOL. Okay. Auntie Tina. Hey, Auntie Tina. She says, under Mayor Ellis, our youth had jobs. They could get their basic needs and help their families. We had over 100 plus students working or volunteering, business students from Northeast and Central, work study programs. Our youth families are struggling, help families and community, put some of the things they need in their bedroom, study desks, computers to get homework, games and things to let them love where they live. We need to get children off the floor. That alone can make you evil or lack of sleep, food, and a selfish community. We need to support our families.
Absolutely.
Mr. Kerry Hatcher says the school to jail pipeline has to be disrupted. Sherman Campbell just he's still on it. He's we're gonna get Leon on you. Leon Jones, if you listen, he listen all the time. We need you to call him. We need you and Frank Matthews to call in. He says me and Leon hit every neighborhood and we did not see poor folks. He stopped playing, man.
Right.
Yeah, I like Mr. Let me make that clear. We are not picking on or saying nothing about Corner Jones. You know, we I for one, I have a lot of respect for him and what he's been doing for years. I think he has a good heart as a person. It's just saying that in reference to what he said about him not seeing poverty in making, which everyone, whoever you are, everybody don't necessarily have to agree with what you say. People have different perspectives. I definitely don't agree with that. But that was his opinion. Of now how he goes about the work that he does, that's different. I think that he helps our city in the way that he tries to do what he does. But yeah, a lot of folks didn't agree with that statement. Patrick Davis says Mayor Miller, a 6-step plan was a distraction. He was trying to kick the can down the road. Bibb needs a new jail, not a band-aid approach. Absolutely. Everybody's been talking about that. I know even on Ask You Lane, Miss Lane Lucas was saying the same thing. I think she had him on her show. She kept asking the same thing. Well, how can we get a new jail? Because we need a new jail.
Right, especially since there was land purchased for a jail apparently, but there hasn't been anything done in a way of actually making that come to fruition.
Right. Mr. Randy Crawford. Hey, Mr. Randy. He says, why didn't they announce who voted for Wynn, who voted against her? I think it was Commissioner Paul Brunson. If I'm not mistaken, Commissioner Paul Brunson, Commissioner Stanley Stewart, and I think Commissioner Bryant didn't vote.
From what I saw, it was just Commissioner Bronson and Commissioner Bryant.
No, it was 3. It was Commissioner Bronson, Commissioner Stewart. Stanley Stewart voted against it.
Not from what I saw.
I thought it was 5-3. It was 3 people that voted against, so 5-4.
No, because there wasn't a vote for District 5 because Seth Clark didn't vote.
Commissioner Bryant, can you put in the chat who voted against Commissioner Wynn being the mayor pro tem in the chat, please? Yes. If you don't mind, then we'll repeat that. And then Kerry Hatcher says we're looking at nearly half of third graders not reading at grade level. That's a direct correlation to crime 9 years later. Absolutely.
It is. And one thing that I wanted to put out there too, and I had mentioned it a couple of shows ago in reference to not just our youth literacy, adult literacy. There is 69% who can't read dense text, who can't read things like or comprehend. Basically, they can't analyze something like a resolution on to vote. on when there's an election. They can't read dense books and dense texts and things like that. So if
Right.
you can't conceptualize or contextualize things in that manner, it's also easier to be manipulated or taken advantage of, because there is a lack of understanding or comprehension of things that pertain to, especially when it comes to voting on things or policies and things like that could benefit our communities.
Absolutely, because I know and Chair Ronaldo Scott, with her comment, I agree with what she's saying. She says we need to get our people out to vote. If you don't speak out, no one will speak out for you. It's a quote by Fannie Lou Hamer. But yes, but the social determinants, social determinants are a serious thing, right? When we talk about social determinants, that means that the things that are happening in one's life, in a person's life, or the environment, or the challenges that they face, or just in general, how it determines what they do socially.
Right.
And voting is one of those things, right? So if you have people that are struggling with what you're talking about, about the illiteracy, which is something that was placed in Kerry Hatcher, who's voting for. I'm sorry, he's running for the school board. He put that in there about the illiteracy rate. That illiteracy rate absolutely correlates to so many different things,
Right.
on so many different issues. I know there are quite a few people that were sharing the court proceeding, the young brother who was locked up for the first murder in Macon this year, and when he stated that his highest level of education was the 8th grade.
Right.
Right. And there have been other statistics I know to point to that. I know Dr. Thomas Duval, he's been speaking on this for a very long time. We're talking about illiteracy and our incarceration rate and the crime rate and how that correlates. Because when you talk about the illiteracy or the reading level, even with the folks who are in LEC or in the prison system, I think it's like 80% who can't read past like on the 5th grade level.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so 4 out of 5 people that are incarcerated, for these violent crimes, what have you, or can't read past the 5th grade level. So there are a lot of correlations to these different factors. So when we talk to folks, so tell folks, hey, look, y'all young folk, y'all just need to get out and vote, or y'all need to do this and do that, right? Like, we also have to be able to speak a language that makes it make sense for them, and also help them with where they are, and to be able to see the bigger picture, or to be able to, as you said, read dense text, or not just, in another word, like instead of just reading the headline, you actually clicking and reading the actual article,
Right.
and you understanding everything that's going on in the article. Because right now, we live in headline culture. People just read a headline and just go with it,
Right.
without even
don't understand nothing that the article says, or can't even make out when something is being misrepresented or something like that, which is again why it's easier to be manipulated or not to understand the full context of what's really going on.
Right.
And just to add to that whole thing, as far as with voting, because yes, we do want to get people out to vote, but we also want to make sure that we have people who are getting placed in these positions who actually care and have concern for the community. Because it's one thing to go out and vote, but if there is nobody who actually is coming out to make a difference, who actually cares about the community, who is in this position to go out into the community and do the things that they're saying that they're going to do, then it's pointless. And that's what a lot of people feel is hopelessness, because they don't see their conditions change regardless of who is in the seat at any given time. And
Right.
so that's one of the things, and that's why civic engagement is so important, and holding people accountable when they do get voted in is so important, because they are responsible to the constituents who vote them into office, whether it be a commissioner, a county commissioner seat, whether it be a House representative in the state or in the nation. All of it doesn't matter where it is, but we have to make sure that we are holding people accountable. So the people who do understand these things and who can educate our community, we do have to take the lead on that, and making sure that we are going out and educating people and making sure that we're holding people accountable or responsible to what they're running on. And that's why policy is so important, because if we're not seeing any changes being made, or if there's somebody who's coming out and saying they want to run, but they're not doing anything to make sure that the community is benefiting from it, then what's the point? And that's what a lot of our people feel at this point.
That's right. And it's got to be a balance with that too, right? Because we want to hold our politicians accountable, but we hear it being said a lot that our community also needs to be proactive. Like we need to be a community again, just like Village Talks. We need to be a village again. Or we need to take certain things in our own power and make those changes, right? But we got to deal with absolute truth. Like we can't deal with relative truth. I made a post about that last week. Like people not dealing with the truth that's relative to whatever agenda that somebody wants to follow, but what's the absolute truth, right? So when we talk about policies or things that need to be changed, we need to know who is responsible for what. Like what's the context?
Right.
How are we going to solve these issues for real? So is this person's job? Is it that person's job? Or is it my job? Or is it your job? We need to be able to put things in proper context. And a lot of time I'm gonna tell you, we talked about this before too. We talk about this all the time because we go to these meetings and you have a lot of people in leadership that are constantly blaming people in the community, for not doing things that maybe they should be responsible for.
Right.
Or you might get people from the community that might be blaming elected officials for things that they maybe could take advantage of and maybe make a somewhat of a change themselves or what have you. So we need to find a healthy balance with that. But at the end of the day, the obligation, if you are an elected official, you're obligated to the people that you serve.
Absolutely.
Point blank period.
Yeah, you're obligated to them, and you're obligated to educate people on things that they don't know. So people who gatekeep information, especially from a community that is as disenfranchised, marginalized, underfunded, disinvested, whatever adjective you want to put on it, it is your duty to make sure that those people, get what is needed. Like LJ has said multiple times, this is the most red line city in America. And so what has perpetuated since that time in the 1930s, it's almost been 100 years. And yet we are still seeing the ramifications of not only that, but, urban renewal where interstates were ran through cities. We're seeing that as it relates to segregation academies and how, that led to the white flight into these private schools and the underfunding of the public school system, which directly correlates to the lack of the literacy rates that we're seeing in our schools. So all of these things are interrelated and interconnected, and these are the things that we have to understand, and we have to be able to verbalize, and we have to make actual plans to do something about these things in order for us to see actual change. We can say, yeah, people need to do better, but if they're not giving youth development programs that are actually going to lead them to a better paying job or workforce development or training skills that are going to get them to where they don't have to work 2 to 3 jobs in order to make ends meet, because that's another thing. The United Way of Central Georgia did that study, and they found that most people in our community are living paycheck to paycheck, which means it's not just Black people issue. We do have, whites and Hispanics as well. And so we need to understand that it's not just Black people who are struggling in our communities, it's everyone, but we need to take advantage of and make sure that though the least of us are getting what is needed and what's necessary. And if all we're talking about is tourism and crime is down, and we want to just make sure that, we get a casino or whatever, these co-ed machines are also adding on to the poverty. So now, I digress. But what we really need to focus on is making sure that the people in this community, the residents, the citizens of Macon-Bibb County, are actually first and foremost at the top of the list of priorities of who we need to be serving. We shouldn't be wanting to just serve so that way we can make sure that we get tourism dollars. We need to make sure that our people are taken care of. Right.
And I was in a couple of meetings today. I was in a meeting earlier today with the development some people like from Historic Macon and some other folks, right? They're about to get ready to do a project in West Macon, right? And we talked about how, I said, and I stated this, in that, a lot of times people come into our, communities. When I speak of our communities, I mean a lot of the underserved, marginalized, predominantly Black communities in Macon. And, you have these organizations that talk about community development, right? And a lot of times they come when they have already made plans, or then after they made the plans for for the community, then they want to have like these surveys or have these meetups and community engage, and I want to survey the community and survey what how do y'all feel about this or that or whatever, right? But then they don't bring no data. You understand what I'm saying? And I talked to a group today and I said, man, look, if millions of dollars about to be poured into this neighborhood, and we're saying we want to have community empowerment, we're trying to develop this neighborhood or what have you, that means that there should be a criteria set for that, right?
Right.
So that means that there should be data that you already have, that where you already understand the challenges that are happening in this neighborhood.
Absolutely.
So that's an opportunity to come in and let the folks know that, hey, look, I already understand that you're dealing with challenges. I mean, we got people like Interface Studios that do a lot of work across Macon, Georgia. There's a company from Philadelphia that does data, surveys, stuff all over the country, but they are working with just about every organization in Macon, Georgia, right? And they have data. They understand when we talk about social determinants of health, things like that. You know, we went into a meeting. No, we got someone, a caller. I'm gonna say this. We went into a meeting where there was data when people talk about the urban core that's downtown and the surrounding neighborhoods, and there was a presentation put together where it made it appear as if the urban core or the downtown areas and the surrounding areas were worse off than everywhere the rest of Macon. Right. But Tia and I brought up that, hey, that's an issue with how y'all presenting this data. You know, for one, we were surprised y'all even knew about social determinants of health, because we don't even hear those conversations being had, you know, when y'all come in to see these communities, right? But the fact that you're trying to group up Bellevue or Unionville or Fort Hill up with North Macon, or you are grouping that up with suburban South, like the rich or the well-to-do areas with these other poor areas. So now you are giving a false, you know, sense of what Macon really looks like as a whole. So now, therefore, you're making downtown look worse off than the rest of Macon, so you can pour these dollars into downtown, right? So these are the types of things that have been, you know, it's a really a game with data, you know. And I'm glad that the brother I was talking to, he was a Caucasian brother, you know, like he's got integrity, you know, he's intentional about the work that they want to do, and he recognizes, like, no, that's not right. Yeah, we do need to come in and showing that we understand the data, and then we need to listen to the stories and what people had to say. Then we can come back and re-educate, and we can do this work. And we need to build buildings, not people. So community development.
We need to build people and not buildings. That's what he meant to say.
Exactly. I'm sorry. I said the wrong thing, y'all. We need to come in building people, not building buildings.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So I'm sorry. We got a caller on the line.
Caller. Hey, this is Aisha.
Hey, Miss Aisha. How you doing?
I'm fine. I was just calling just to clear up the confusion on how the vote went. It was a 5-3 vote regarding Mayor Pro Tem. The vote, it was between Valerie Wynn and Commissioner Paul Bronson. Commissioner Bronson got 3 votes, which was from Commissioner Stewart and Bryant, and of course he voted for himself. And then the remaining 5, and then Valerie got 5. And of course, District 5 was not represented because no one has filled that seat, of course, yet. So I just wanted to get clarity on as far as how the vote was for the Mayor Pro Tem. Valerie Wynn got 5 votes, Commissioner Bronson got 3, and Commissioner Stewart and Bryant voted for Bronson. And of course, Bronson, voted for himself as well.
Right. Okay. We appreciate you for that fact check, Ms. Aisha.
Yes, appreciate it.
Okay, I just wanted to clear it all up.
Well, thank you very much for the information. We needed that.
Me and Commissioner Bryan put the comments in the chat, but I wanted to clear it up for the folks who may be listening and not in the on Facebook, because they won't see what's in the chat. So I just wanted to make sure that was clear.
Absolutely, and I think it's interesting too. We need to have some more conversations with our commissioners and see why. Because for one, to see people like Paul Bronson and Commissioner Stanley Stewart and Commissioner Bryant, they typically vote the same in most cases, right? Or they, it's certain stuff that I guess they vote against a lot of times, and they do it together. But so like Commissioner Brenlin Bailey pretty much always votes with the opposite end of where they vote, but they really all represent the same type of communities, so like she represents Bellevue, which is like majority Black, underserved community,
right?
And a lot of times, she's kind of voting sometimes, because we had an issue with that, when we were had an issue with the Confederate monument, the Confederate plaque that they were trying to put out. Well, the mayor was backing it at one time. He came back and he rescinded his decision because of the pushback that we gave them about it. But at the time, it was the same commissioners that voted against it. I even say, Seth Clark, he voted against it at the time. But it was a 5-4 vote because Commissioner Brennan Bailey voted to have the Confederate money plaque, which would, for one, it was misinformation. They didn't even have proper information. They were trying to pose this black Confederate minstrel. He wasn't even a soldier. They were trying to say he was a soldier that had a gun or whatever. We ended up finding out that he was an actual slave. Nobody contacted his family members and none of that. But anyway, it was just disrespectful to be trying to erect something like that. And this was in 2024, the end of 2024. But and I had some conversations with Commissioner Bailey about that, off record, and she's I guess even came in and said that she agreed that it needed to happen or whatever. But just to have that kind of representation coming from Bellevue, and and to be so on the opposite end of the spectrum, of what's happening in the other areas. And I think she's a very nice lady. Just to be honest with you, I think she's sweet. But I don't understand. I don't understand some of that stuff. I mean, that's a nice way of me putting that.
And I think at the end of the day, what it boils down to is when you get into these elected seats, you are not voting just for you, what you believe or what you think. You're voting on behalf of the constituents who put you into office. And that's why it's so important for people to understand who they're voting for, understanding what they are voting on, and if they are voting in favor of what is best or in the best interest of your community, or if they're only voting for their own self-serving interests. And so we have to be, cognizant of these things and keeping these, the people who we are electing at the forefront to make sure that they're not just, using their vote or this power that they have been, entrusted with for their own, their own benefit.
Right. Well, we came to the end of this show. We've been talking today, ain't we?
We've been talking today.
Golly.
Village Talks, y'all. That's the name of the show, right?
Yeah, but I appreciate what you've been saying. You've been saying some good stuff, Tia. People been talking about you need to. They talking about Tia for commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner Brian. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think that you would be an amazing commissioner. Myself, just to let everybody know, I had already made plans myself to run for something. I have not stated it exactly. In 2028, I'm more than I'm leaning that way for sure. Tia and I both are very active, whether or not we are represented in a governmental capacity or an elected official capacity. We absolutely represent our people in every capacity. So I want to let y'all know that. I don't know what happened. What's Tia at on here? She's not on our visual right now. I don't know what's going on. There she go. All right. But we appreciate everyone, for y'all, for the support.
Right.
In regarding, District 5. We do live in District 5. And we are considering some things with that. But we will be letting everybody know as that time comes.
Yes, absolutely. And so thank you all so much for y'all support, for the love. We love our community. I can just speak for myself personally. I love our community. I haven't really considered running for commissioner, but I know we have a lot of different positions that need to be filled, and they need to be filled by people with a heart for our community, not for titles, not for prestige, not because you align with some narrative that's being stated, but because you truly care about the people and you want to see a change being made. So that's where I'm at with it, and I'll see what happens. Y'all know I just have a girl, and
baby girl. I'm so tender, y'all. I'm a whole chicken tender out here. Golly, that baby girl. Oh.
He is absolutely a y'all. But with that being said, y'all, we just love y'all. I'm taking it in for prayer, meditation, to make sure that whatever steps I take as it relates to any type of political career, that I'm doing it with intention, because I understand, it's not just me who I be representing, that it's the whole community. So we appreciate y'all.
And God. We're led by the Spirit of the Most High. Absolutely. So that is what's in control of our every move. And we appreciate y'all for checking in with us right here every Wednesday on
Village Talks with Tia and LJ. Join them live every Wednesday from 5:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. right here on the Glory 107.9 FM, 980 AM WDDO.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group, LLC, WDDO AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions